I should have seen the signs coming before, but there's like one little thing happened, another thing happened, another thing, she said something, a wink, a nod or something, and it all adds, for me, it all added up to it.
So is it your position that your wife was complicit in your crime?
I believe so, yes, but but I'm a lot older now. I don't even, my sex drive and all is not like it when I was a young guy. I'm almost all done with, not all done, but so.
We are about to watch the parole hearing of a Connecticut man, a monster, a roach, really one of those that simply should never be set free. If you want to add insult to injury, if that's possible, the state considers him a low risk score to reoffend for sexual crimes. Now, as you watch this interview, as you listen to him talk, just take that in. Take in the fact that the statewide collaborative forum, all 50 states in the United States, go by this 10-point questionnaire to decide whether someone is at a high, medium, or low risk, and that he ranks out at low. Now, we will go over that form with you at the end of the parole hearing if you want to see it for yourself. Now, I have to apologize. This hearing, as you can see, the soundproofing in these prisons are maybe just for show, kind of like the risk score algorithm. So we unfortunately have a background noise from a hearing that was taking place, or a phone call, I'm not sure, right next door. It's frustrating, and I get it if you just can't deal with it. I tried to reduce the sound using some of the tools that I have, but could not figure that out. But again, I need to preface, we are about to watch a monster who was given a 30-year sentence.
Edward Bamford, 89881.
So I'm not exactly sure.
This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Edward Bamford, 089881. He is serving a sentence of 30 years for 2 counts of sex assault, first to a minor, and 2 counts of illegal sexual contact with victims under the age of 50. As of today, records reflect a parole eligibility date of October 7, 2023 at 85%. There is victim input in this case. There's also an offender accountability plan for the offender. It has been reviewed and showed the offender has completed the following programs. Tier 2 and voices to date, utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system. The offender overall score on the RT falls within the high range of risk for recidivism. Utilizing the static 99R, the offender overall score for sexual offense recidivism falls within the low range. Mr. Bamford, this is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole, sir. You should begin.
Well, I think I have more empathy now that I've aged. Like I've matured, and I've been through a few programs, and I'm very sorry for what I've done. I'm ashamed and disgusted by what I've done, and I don't think that I'll be a repeat offender.
I don't know. They just mark it down.
Okay, Mr. Bamford, anything else?
Yes, I would just like to state, this is not for parole, but I did not sign over my parental rights because I didn't love my children. I did that to distance myself from my wife. Because at the time they had them in, so they put them in foster care, and I was very upset about that. So I didn't want them to tie us together like, me and my wife, because that's why they put them in foster care, because something she said. So that's why I signed over my parental rights. I did not do it because I didn't love them.
Okay, well, yeah, we appreciate the additional information, and thank you for your opening comments. We'll be asking you some questions this morning. At the end of the questions, we'll hear from the Office of Victim Services, and then we will deliberate about your case and give you our answer.
Okay.
Okay, Ms. Turner will
Yes.
begin with questions this morning.
Good morning, Mr. Bamford.
Good morning.
Holding it right here, Jordan.
So you have about a year left on this 30-year sentence.
Yes.
So, and it's a flat sentence, so you have no supervision to follow. How do you think supervision could be helpful to you?
Well, I was hoping to get to a halfway house so that I could reacclimate into society, because I've been in jail so long, and I know the world has changed since I've been in. And I believe in the halfway houses, they still have ongoing, like, say, therapy. I don't know, programs or groups that I could attend before I do get out.
So I could stay on.
And
But again, when it
I'd like to go to a halfway house so that I could work on my, like, getting Social Security or any medical or anything. Plus, I have to learn, like, how to use a phone and everything. I don't know any of that. I've been in for a long time now.
Notice the show card.
Can you tell me what your support system looks like?
I have a couple of brothers, 2 sisters. My mother and father are still alive. And, they're
Wow.
supportive, but, they've all moved away. My mother lives in Florida. My sister lives in Florida. My brother lives in California. But they're supportive of me, so I could call them and talk to them and, like
Mr.
they help
Bamford,
out.
who do you have here in Connecticut?
I have a father. He's getting older now. He's like 85 years old. But I have my father here and 1 sister and my stepmother. But that's all in Connecticut.
So you had 2 children with your wife. One is the victim of your
Right.
offense.
Yes.
I think we're a jury trial. For
How old is the other child now?
This addresses my permission.
They're about 2 ages of, like about a year apart. So they got to be like about 30 years old, 30 or a little over 30. Around
And
there.
was this another daughter?
Yes.
I'm holding the document. I'm
2
sorry,
daughters.
but you haven't moved on it.
So you've taken some positive programs, Tier
Yes.
2
So how do you
Voices,
think you
the
decided
short-term program, which you just finished.
bring
Yes.
this back? Did you have a?
I don't
And I'd be
believe you
willing
have
to
any-
take,
By video,
huh?
all right?
What was
I
that?
don't believe-
I have 30 days.
Well, I didn't hear- I didn't hear you.
So where
I
is?
don't
where is
believe
that baby-
that you
the
have any
right-
programs remaining on your OAP, and congratulations on earning your high school diploma.
Thank you.
Not being violated.
Are you still working in the kitchen, sir?
No, because I got transferred to this jail from Osborne. I was working in Industries. I was a clerk in the print shop. But when I got transferred, I can't work here because I'm a level 2. This is a level 4 facility. I shouldn't even be in this facility, but just for the program I had to take, so, because they don't have it anymore at Osborne. So I'm not
You-
working at all.
You've been in a long time and only received 2 disciplinary reports where
Right.
You know, we do occasionally see people who don't get any, but your last one was in 2021. And the other one, which was 1998, was for violence. You were engaged in a fight.
Right.
Judge Carl Cuban, and then it said.
So you
We're addressing the brought in.
began by saying you have more empathy.
Line 1.
Was that something that the Voices program helped you with?
Yes, Voices did help me with that. I had a little bit of empathy before, like I know what that means. Like you feel like, how would I feel if someone was doing that to me? And I see that now that as I was growing up, I really didn't think like that too much. But now that I've gone through Voices, I see that that's an important thing. You have to realize what other people are feeling.
Title to a jury trial.
So, what did you take away that helps you appreciate what
Laws.
the victim in your case went through?
Yes, sir.
That was very traumatic and it was very hurtful because I was the protector and I broke that trust. And I feel I'm very disgusted and ashamed by what I've done for that. I think about it every single day. I can't, and there's nothing I can do to make it up. Sometimes I cry, but I can't, it happened,
And it seems like after this crime came to light, pretty much her whole world fell apart. Her whole
Yes.
family and her home. So
For the record.
Yes.
she paid a tremendous price.
Right.
That, continued on for, I'm sure, years in her life.
Yes. And I realized that what I committed, the crime I committed, not only affected me, but it affected my immediate family and, others, and their friends and everything, because their friends think different of them now. And so it affected a lot of people. I didn't realize that in the beginning. It took, like a few years of thinking about it. And then I realized that, this affected a lot of people. And I'm very sorry for all their hurt and loss.
It's interesting to hear you talk about that, Mr. Bamford, because your criminal history goes back to 1978 and
Right.
Involved repeated crimes of burglaries and larcenies.
Actual administrative directory, the law that.
You know, you struggled on probation.
Not a law, I correct myself. That
You know,
is the
so you
defendant
were
was
out there
advised
responsible for
and-
quite a bit of harm.
by-
in the community.
I realize now that I've hurt all those people by doing the burglaries, because, you know, like, you know, breaking into their buildings and, you know, stores and
So
stuff.
when we go back. to
And that was wrong too, and
Did you ever do residential burglaries as well?
You know,
in my whole life, one, that a friend of mine got me drunk. He knew I did burglaries and he got me drunk because I never did people's houses, nothing like that. And we ended up going, they were on vacation. He knew they were on vacation. And that's why he got me drunk and we went and took some stereo stuff and whatnot. But no, I've never on my own did residential burglaries. It was more stores, warehouses, stuff like that. But that was, you know, that's in the past. I don't even think about that anymore. Because now when
We look at it because we want to appreciate the complete picture that is Mr. Bamford.
right,
It's interesting to hear you mitigate the crime of the residential burglary. You're the way you're describing it, you're not quite responsible. Your friend manipulated you with alcohol. I'm seeing some parallels to what you did to the victim, your daughter.
yeah, but I would have never done that burglary if he didn't like get me drunk and ask me to go. All right, well,
Okay, and again, so again, my center is being ground down
Um,
after they were relined by a doctor at Columbia.
you know what it means to minimize, sir?
yes.
Defendant had these business
Okay.
books that you use little blue.
So when you completed the sex offender program,
Write down everything about, and it will show blue that.
you,
Back in
and
the
you
blue,
were evaluated,
doesn't have blue.
you seem to,
No,
try to
there's
mitigate responsibility by saying you didn't have sex with the
Yeah.
victim.
Nothing to do with the teeth.
Is that intercourse?
That's like.
Right, that's what I meant, right.
There's nothing to do
Okay,
with
because,
taking the dentures, flipping them upside
when
down. Grinding out with a.
person isn't of age to consent, it's rape.
Okay.
And yet you're,
Prior to that.
do you somehow feel like she was less
They won.
traumatized and victimized because it did, your offenses didn't involve intercourse?
No, I don't know. I believe she was very, very affected by it. I don't diminish that at all or minimize that at all. I realize I hurt her very badly by what I did.
You threatened her to keep her silent, right?
No, I don't believe I did threaten her, no.
You threatened her not to tell.
And they have nothing, so they relined them. The top side of them now, basically fits the bone better.
So you said you're very sorry
So now
and
what?
you don't
Now
think
he's a drug
you will
dealer.
be a repeat offender.
Correct.
He's a thief. Which one needs to be.
Well, I don't plan on reoffending and I really don't, I don't even have those thoughts of any of those thoughts anymore, you know.
So in your mind, these crimes that you committed, you did plan?
The burglaries I planned, yes, but not this.
No, I'm talking about the crime for which you're serving the 30-year sentence.
Really, no, I think it wasn't really planned. It just, as the years progressed, it just
Now I go back to him again about.
It just happened. It wasn't really a plan I had in my head to do this.
And you always made sure your wife was away. So there was some planning involved. You didn't want to get caught. You threatened the victim in order to keep her silent. So there was a lot of manipulation going on.
I
So
don't
that you
remember,
continue to perpetrate against your daughter.
I don't remember threatening her though. If you have it there, could you read what I've said? I don't remember that at all.
I'll look it up when we're done talking as you talk to my colleagues.
Okay.
But
So therefore, again, cutting them in half was another joke.
Um,
of his negligence and incompetence
You-
of the
you
medical director.
Talk to her about not telling people what you were doing, right?
But now we state to the court when they tried to do an injunction.
It's so long ago, I can't,
Well,
I may have, it's been almost 30 years, like,
I can't eat. I have heartburn now. I have an ulcer to begin with.
So
I mean, you get it.
I think the concern that I'm having and what I'm hearing is you don't plan to be a repeat offender, but with someone with your track record, you actually have to
Right.
actively work to ensure you don't reoffend.
Right. I realize that now from going through the class with Miss Kennedy, that this is gonna be a lifelong, I have to like watch myself and be careful about around other people and stuff. I have, this is gonna be a lifelong for the rest of my life. I'm on alert now that I've done something wrong, and it is really wrong. So I'll have to, like, I was asking Miss Kennedy if the halfway houses have any of those programs in the halfway house, and she says she thinks they do, or they can get you in touch with people.
Yeah,
'Cause
you're gonna have to participate in problem sexual behavior treatment in the community.
Right, and I wouldn't be opposed to that. I actually.
Well, that's good.
welcome it. Yep.
Without keeping my level. That's not my.
So when you were interviewed by The Connection, do you remember that earlier this year?
By The Connection?
Yeah, they came and met with you and interviewed you,
Yes.
and they asked you how you know when someone wants to have sex.
Right.
We're gonna have a special.
Do you remember your answer?
Come from the medical.
No, I don't remember the answer. No.
Okay. You said you must receive consent.
Right.
Okay. Do
You
you
talked to them.
understand that
Right.
by state law, children cannot consent to sexual contact?
Right, now from going through this program, I do. I realize that, yes.
Okay. Great. So, you were a consumer of pornography when you were back out in the community, last out in the community?
Some, yes. Yes, I did, yeah.
Magazines and VHS tapes, that's how long ago it goes back.
Yes, yeah.
Was that child pornography as well?
What was that?
Was
it
that
what?
pornography depicting children?
No, none of it.
I have a
No.
notarized document from a doctor. And again, I'm stating the fact. I have a notarized document.
I recall,
that says,
one
due
of
to
the
my
reasons
cancer
that you
not being
gave for why you committed this crime was that your wife was no longer willing to have
I'm not
sexual
reading- I'm moving
relations
on
with
now.
you.
I'm past that. So I'm not
No,
going
that's,
down to-
I never
down.
said that
Because
at all.
now this doctor telling me. I have firsthand knowledge, Your Honor. If I have firsthand knowledge. And I have a notarized paper that I'm holding in my hand, it's not considered hearsay, Your Honor. So there. Okay, so again,
So-
let me get one thing straight. In a criminal court of law.
Why did you offend against your daughter?
Why?
If you don't have a sworn
Well,
document.
I think it was a combination of like loneliness, low self-esteem, paranoia. I wasn't working at the time. And I was getting signals from, I don't want to blame anybody, but my wife did lead me to believe that everything was okay. So I don't want to blame her though, because this is, I did it, I know I did it and I'm responsible for it.
Well, and again,
But
because.
I'm gonna need you to clarify that a little bit. Your wife, led you to believe what was okay.
Based on a foundation showing you that it wouldn't be hearsay. because
well,
he
what I was doing, and
law.
I wrote up a big slip of paper and I showed Miss Kennedy, and I had like 5 or 6 things over the years, because I've had like almost 30 years now to lay there and think about these things. And I should have seen the signs coming before, but there's like one little thing happened, another thing happened, another thing, she said something, a wink, a nod or something, and it all adds, for me, it all added up to it.
So is it your position that your wife was complicit in your crime, knew about it and looked the other way?
Why you denied my
I
expert?
believe so, yes, but I never said it at court or nothing like that, because I didn't want to get I didn't
Okay.
want them to take the kids away from her back to
Okay.
foster care, so I just took the whole thing myself.
So it's your position that she sacrificed her daughter to you for your sexual gratification, and was okay with that.
To even put their hands in my.
To a certain extent,
We're not even going
to a certain extent, I do believe that because of things that she said to
Well,
me.
Mr. Bamford,
things
you were
she's done.
37 years old.
Your own report, that's not hearsay, which you can obtain.
You knew what you were doing was wrong.
Oh, yeah, yes.
That's why I might be happy.
But I also know that people that have been through the trauma of that when they were little, sometimes they offend. And I'm not saying she offended, but she went through that when she was little, my wife.
Okay,
I filed a,
so
I filed a.
this is rather disturbing.
In this
She
complaint,
said
way back
that
in the
you
day,
didn't violate your other daughter because you didn't like her.
Further as we go. Well, now.
Did you have a preference for the victim in terms of your parental affection?
5 years. And it was.
Not really, no, I don't know. I don't believe that, no.
Okay, so why did you choose this daughter to violate?
I'm not sure. I have no answer for that. I don't know why.
Well, that's a good place to begin treatment out in the community, is to figure that out.
Right. And I would just like to say that I know I've heard my two daughters, but I would like to eventually mend the broken ties that I have with them, because I know that, like kids need a father, and I'm not against, like talking to them or,
Okay, with all due respect, Mr. Bamford, I'm not your daughters.
Right.
That ship sailed. So
Okay.
you started violating your daughter sexually.
All right.
You abandoned your role as her father, became her victimizer. So, the idea that you're somehow going to make amends and be back in their lives is a really tremendous ask. And, if they're listening today, then maybe they hear that's what you want, but you should have no expectation of that. That's just selfish.
Process of the grievance
Okay.
scale, and.
I just thought they might want closure to talk about or something. I don't know. But if that's what you're saying.
So therefore, again, I reach out now back.
And they can get that in other ways.
Okay.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Mr. Bamford. I have no more questions, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Turner. Ms. Chance, do you have any questions for Mr. Bamford?
So, Mr. Bamford, I'm totally confused here today.
My injunction.
What was that?
I am confused
Because.
because,
The judge already denied.
your last statement about reconnecting with your daughters really,
So I can.
after what you did to them.
Defendant.
And I'm listening to you today, and I still don't know, because you have said you only hugged your daughter, you didn't have sex with her, but she said you did.
Okay.
Now, during the sex offender program, were you able to figure out why you did it? Because my colleague did ask you whether you did it because your wife no longer wanted to have sex with you.
Right.
And when the parole officer interviewed you, you alluded to that. So to me, you haven't figured out, or you're not willing to say or acknowledge why you sexually assaulted your daughter.
I thought I was doing it out of love, but it was a different, like loving a daughter and a wife is different. I realize that now. I thought it was out of love I was doing it, but I realize now that that was a twisted view. My thinking was skewed at the time.
Right.
But I don't ever remember saying that my wife didn't want to have sex with me anymore. I don't remember saying that. I've heard it twice now. And the only reason why I said that I would like to reconnect with them is because when I was in Cheshire, my father told me that my oldest daughter wanted to come and see me. And they were trying to get that arranged, and it never ended up happening. That's the only reason I said it. I believed from that they wanted to still talk to me. But if they don't want it, then I'll leave them alone. It's fine. I mean, it's
Mr.
gonna
Bradford, you were asked, what do you think led you to committing this offense? And you said, probably being married, and alluding to the fact that your wife didn't appear to want to have sex.
Back to court for an injunction. They finally.
Yes, as much as I did. I did say that, not that she didn't want to have it at all.
So
Right.
therefore, you figure if she didn't, then, one of your daughters better.
I know, I didn't figure that. It's more complicated than that.
He's objecting to his own motion.
All right, well, you are gonna have to attend the sex offender group when you're in the community. And I
Right.
hope that you're gonna follow through and continue with that because.
Oh, I will.
You've
I will.
almost served almost with a year to go of your time. So I hope that when you do participate, you will be able to figure out exactly why you committed such a heinous offense. Okay, I'm all done, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Chance. And for the record, I don't know if we said this officially, that Mr. Bamford completed the short-term sex offender treatment program on October 9th, 2024. So just recently. And we do have a summary of his participation in that. So Mr. Bamford, with having completed the short-term sex offender treatment program, you developed what we would call a relapse prevention plan for yourself in the community. Can you
Yes.
talk a little bit about that? What have you identified as things you'll need to do?
Well, I need to stay away from alcohol. And I'm not, I have to stay away from minors, of course, that. But, and I would like to get more treatment for this when I do get out. And I asked Miss Kennedy if there was, and she said, if halfway houses could, like refer you to people, or if they don't have one there at the actual halfway house or whatever.
Right.
And,
Okay.
and like stay away from pornography, no more of that. And, but I'm a lot older now. I don't even, my sex drive and all is not like it when I was a young guy. I'm almost all done with, not all done, but so
Right.
I think
Well,
I'm a different person.
right. I think these offenses have, less to do with your sex drive than other factors. But I do appreciate that you recognize that alcohol is a problem for you. That
Yes.
you will not be able to have contact with minors or be places where minors are. And, the pornography, I'm not sure about, if that was stipulated to. However, you will be required to go to treatment. There's very specific treatment that you'll be required to attend. And you have a lifetime requirement to be on the sex offender registry.
Right.
You know that, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, all right. And your release plan is to go to the halfway house. All right. Thank you, Mr. Bamford. So we are now going to hear from the Office of Victim Services. You listen, you cannot interrupt, comment, anything, okay?
Yes.
And then after that, we'll deliberate.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, Ms. DeJesus?
Good morning, board members. I do have a statement, and it reads as follows. My name is Bird, and I'm the mother of A.B. We, along with my youngest daughter, F.B., are the victims of Edward Bamford. Our lives changed in 1998 due solely to his decisions and his actions. A is now 34 and the mother of a young son. She is still unable to discuss the events without breaking down. She's terrified of him being released, and the thought of it makes me uncomfortable as well. The thought of him being able to roam freely is scary for us. What if? All I can think of is, what if? What if he looks us up? What if he looks for us? What if he's bitter and wants revenge? What if he shows up at our door? We have since moved, but in this age of technology, it's not difficult to locate someone. As much as it worries me, it worries A so much more. It's our hope that he is remanded to custody until his last possible day. We were never given any good time off our trauma caused by him, and respectfully request he is shown equal and fair punishment under the law. Nothing more, nothing less. In addition to the mental and physical trauma, he also caused financial trauma by crippling me financially. I needed an attorney to fight the state, for custody of my daughters, even though several family members offered to take them.
So
DCF took them from me when they needed me most.
that would be now.
I needed an attorney to fight for me in the criminal court, as they charged me with neglect. And I've carried that with me for the last 27 years and will for the rest of my life. I have never neglected my daughters. My attorney also fought for me during the third court case in divorce court and also helped me during his criminal proceedings. 4 simultaneous cases while working a full-time job wasn't easy. Although A is having a difficult time dealing with the fact that her offender is up for parole, I'm speaking on her behalf, and I'm hopeful that he is not released today. Thank you.
Okay, myself, I cannot,
Thank you, Mr. Jesus.
okay,
Okay, so we will now deliberate about Mr. Bamford's case. All right, Ms. Turner?
me sitting in front of you.
That was very powerful
My mouth. So the only way-
input from the victims. I hope Mr. Bamford was listening very carefully.
Oh, so therefore, again, if you get my medical record. which
So,
I'm signing waiver,
Mr. Bamford completes his 30-year sentence in September, at the end of September of 2025.
Because I'm eating food on my thumb because.
While I
have been
fully-
there for nearly-
fully appreciate and understand where the victims are coming from, that they want him to remain incarcerated, to serve every day of the sentence that was imposed.
Again,
We make our decision in light of the interests of public safety. And I honestly feel that the 1-year transition under the direct supervision of parole is the best way to ensure a successful or
Nobody chooses in their life to go around the world. For a
to
cosmetic-
ensure a transition that will afford additional programming so that he can continue to
Irrelevant.
work on himself and his understanding of why he committed this crime that went over a long period of time.
Because of my medical, problem with my
So
liver.
with all due respect to the victim's wishes, I think a year of accountability in the community with the close supervision of the sex offender management unit, getting him on the registry, getting him into programming, ensuring he has some means to support himself is perhaps the best way to keep him away from the victim, her mother, and her sister.
Gums and the salt and vinegar making you scream.
Ms. Chance?
Salt and the wound.
I agree with everything.
Dentures.
Understand?
So here we are, 12.5 years
You
later.
have
My
heard,
own medical report is
you know,
myself.
a very powerful
And I
statement
still
from
now
the
cannot even.
mother of the victim,
I
but I
cannot
do
eat food,
agree
and I
that
have no
we
dentures to put in
cannot,
my mouth
in
to this day
the
because
best interest
there's
of
no
public
phone.
safety, we cannot put him out there,
So therefore,
let
again,
him go to the end of his sentence and just put him out there with no
I'm not
supervision.
one. My skill process right to bring in my.
Agreeing with Ms. Turner because I think it is most appropriate
Statement of this person, everything.
to put him out on discretionary parole, where he looked very closely
That's very direct.
supervised, and that the victim understand that part of what he's required to do, have no contact with them. And if he does that, he violates his parole condition and would therefore come back to incarceration.
Yeah.
So I am in favor.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. And for the victims, it's important, I think, for them to understand that our goal is their safety and public safety. And to put him out there after 30 years with no supervision, no monitoring other than the registry, he would not be required to go to treatment. So affording him this 1 year on community supervision, will is for public safety and to ensure that he continues to go to treatment, like Ms. Turner said, to work on himself. So conditions: no alcohol, halfway house, problem sexual behavior treatment, no contact with minors, no pornography, and no contact with victims A, B. AB is the mother and FB is the sister, but can we do anyone other than AB, the victim?
Yes,
Yeah.
the
Okay,
victim and the victim's family, and we'll list.
them specifically. Okay. Anything else other than what I've already stated?
No, girls, in the door so I can get a quick drink of water and I'll be right back. You read that, right?
Evaluation only because incarcerated for so long. I would agree, probably benefit from.
Yeah, there is a diagnosis.
Yeah.
Anything else, Ms. Turner?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So in the matter of Edward Bamford, 089881, there's a motion to grant parole on or after October 23rd, 2024 with following stipulations. No alcohol, halfway house placement, mental health evaluation and treatment, community-based treatment, for problem sexual behavior, problem sexual behavior treatment, no contact with minors without the parole officer's permission, no pornography, no contact with victim AB or family KBFB. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. All right. Mr. Bamford, did you understand the conditions?
Yes, I do.
Okay, all right. You'll get all this in writing. Best of luck.
Thank you. Have a good day.
This concludes the hearing.
And I really just I don't know what to say, right? Like I see, I guess I see why they felt like they had to grant, at least that they felt as disgusted as we were. It wasn't like the Iowa parole board were like, oh yeah, that was a great hearing. I mean, there's just absolute disgust. Maybe this is just a problem with sentencing. Maybe this is a problem with good time. And in some states like Louisiana, they're trying to get rid of all of that because here's the thing: there are certain people that can never be in society. It's weird. It's like he just now took a short-term sex program and they want to release him so we can take a long-term program. And it's like, what have you been doing in prison for 25 years? I think there's just not a lot of information that Sir Richard has on here. It seems that he was incarcerated in 1998. So you're at 26 years, and then he's on a 30-year sentence. He gets 1 year out early on his 30-year sentence, maximum sentence. And we don't have info if he went to, did he go to trial or he just took the, he took the plea deal. I mean, 30 years, it's a lot. Hey, we've seen people get just a few years for the exact same crimes. But it's you just get listening to him. The guy actually doesn't, there's nothing there. Like, there's nothing there. If you wanted to take what the absolute word, like one of the worst offenders, he's just up there, totally no empathy, no awareness, no ability to even fake empathy. Like, he actually believes that his wife was like yeah, you can do the daughter, you can have our daughter because I'm not giving it to you. And he's like arguing about the strangest things too. It's like, oh no, my wife was giving me sex, but just not a lot of it. Oh, I've had 30 years to think about this, and now I know, there was a wink there and a nod there, and she definitely was okay with it. She was on board. And he's just clueless, completely clueless. Oh yeah, I want to get back to talk to my kids. It's like, are you kidding? And he's gonna be out. He's gonna be out now. Now it's gonna be, I think someone like this will be really easy for him to get caught. Maybe in a sting or something, like there's he just want to, he can't possibly. We'll see him again, hopefully in a revocation. Make sure you subscribe and whatnot. But let me show you, if you remember, I guess the only point, because I just don't have any information on this case. You hear from the poor victims and what they went through, of course, and just really wanting to have one more year. And I don't know how to handle this stuff. I would say just let him feel like, who makes a difference? He didn't deserve to get out in a year, so make him serve his full time. Like, what do you mean? Oh, well, we don't want to just let him out without supervision. Well, why don't you just let it? Let's see, like, what's it gonna make a difference, anyways? But this is how they grade. This is why this roach, this monster, this someone who clearly has zero anything scores out at a low score. And I'm going to go through it with you if you haven't seen it already. And if what you just saw didn't make you sick, then maybe this would. And this is what all 50 states use. It was made something like 25 years ago. So like they don't even have like cell phones in mind when making this. And basically, here's how the risk factor works, depending on your age. So you want to have the lowest score possible. And the lowest score you can have is a negative 3. If you can range to be a 1 point, you're still a low score, okay? So -3 is the lowest that you can have. He probably has a -3. Now, let me show you how it works. If you are age 60 or older, you start with -3 points. So the moment you turn, for example, if you're 59, you're -1 point. But the moment you turn 60, you're -3. And hey, like he even made sure everyone knew, I don't really even have those urges anymore. Well, not all of them, you know. It's like, who says, like, out of all the thousands of parole hearings we've heard, then you say, have you ever lived with a lover? Well, of course he has, right? This is a father. And for some reason, they think that this is a question that if you say you have lived with a lover for at least 2 years, that you're less risk. Common sense knows it's not true. Oftentimes they do live with someone to have access to their prey. So he's still a -3. Any non-sexual violent conviction. So this it's like a blanket statement. It could be, maybe you had CP or something, but 0. Prior non-sexual violence, any convictions. He did have for theft, so maybe he gets a 1 point here. So now he's a -2. Prior sex offenses, nope. Prior sentencing dates, excluding. I'm not sure what this is. Any convictions for non-contact, nope. Any unrelated victims, and hey, guys, since these were his biological children, right? And he says no because they were related to him, he doesn't get a point. Make that make sense. If it's your biological daughter, you get 0 points added on. If it was non-related, then you get a point. Make that make sense. Any stranger victim, nope. Again, not a stranger, just your daughter. So nope. Any male victims, of course, we know that makes a ton of sense, that question. Since there was not a male victim, but a female victim, nope. So he is a -2. That's why he is a low risk. That is why he is a low risk. And even according to them, now a low risk, his chance of recidivating is 0.7 to 2% over 5 years, which, again, we all know that, of course, makes a lot of sense. Now, this is the 10-point algorithmic test that all 50 states use to collaborate on. If you haven't yet seen this test and you're like, how is this possible? Let's just remember, this is possible. This is the system, the PhDs, the judges that are put here to protect us. They rely on this. This is what they say over and over and over and over again when you hear it. Well, he was a low risk reoffending, and all it takes is just common sense to know, is just data to know, is just a conversation with this roach to know that he is anything but a low risk. But they have the audacity to call all of us stupid in the face of reality and say it's a low risk. But he will be free, and he is still young enough to reoffend and reoffend and reoffend and reoffend and reoffend. And having spent the last 25 years in prison, it probably won't be so bad for him to come back in if he could fulfill just a few more fantasies. And with that, I'll let you go.
I've had like almost 30 years now to lay there and think about these things. And I should have seen the signs coming before, but there's like one little thing happened, another thing happened, another thing, she said something, a wink, a nod or something. And it all adds, for me, it all added up to it.
So is it your position that your wife was complicit in your crime, knew about it and looked the other way?
Why you denied my expert?
I believe so, yes.